They said it was just old age, that she was becoming forgetful and confused. But no one told her it was dementia. No one told the family either. Dementia is not just memory loss, it's a disease of the brain. It affects how a person thinks, remembers, communicates, and eventually how they live. In this episode of our Dementia in Africa series, which is episode 3, we're talking about two powerful risk factors that we cannot change: our age and our genetics. Let's start with age. Age is the strongest known risk factor for dementia. The older we get, the higher the risk. And across Africa, more people are living longer thanks to better healthcare. But with longer lives comes a growing number of people affected by dementia. In many African cultures, aging is respected, but when memory loss or confusion sets in, it's often misunderstood. It might be seen as just part of getting old, or worse, as something spiritual or a curse. We need to change that narrative. Memory loss is not always a normal part of aging. When a grandma forgets where she is or can't recognize her family, it's not just old age. It might be dementia. Understanding this helps families plan, seek support earlier, and treat their loved ones with more dignity and patience. Now let's talk about genetics. Some forms of dementia run in families, but this is very rare. Scientists have identified more than 20 genes that influence dementia risk. The most well-known is the APOE E4 gene. If you carry it, your risk of Alzheimer's disease is higher, but it doesn't guarantee that you'll get it. There are other rare genes that do directly cause dementia, but they account for less than 1% of all cases. These tend to lead to early onset dementia where symptoms appear before the age of 60. In Africa, access to genetic testing is limited, and most of the research on dementia genes has been done outside of African populations. We need more studies that reflect our people, our environment, and our genetics. There's one more factor I need to mention, and that's women. Globally, women are more likely to develop Alzheimer's disease more than men. And this pattern holds true in African communities as well. Why? Why? Well, we're still learning it. We don't know. It could be hormonal changes, differences in access to education, or unequal health care. Many older African women, especially widows and grandmas, are living alone, isolated, and unsupported. These social conditions can make things worse. So what can we do with all this information, you ask? So even though we can't change our age or our genetics or our genes, we can take action. We can recognize the early signs. We can talk more openly about memory problems. We can support older people with dignity and compassion. And we can create communities where people living with dementia are seen, heard, and helped. In villages and townships, early support can mean everything. Keeping our elders safe, valued, and connected. In our next episode, we'll talk about what we can change, the lifestyle choices and community actions that can reduce dementia risk. If this episode gave you something to think about, please subscribe, like, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Let's change the way Africa sees dementia, one conversation at a time. Remember to be kind.